Hey y'all, this is the Myrita Minutes. Thank you all for stopping by. For all of you that are new here, welcome. To all my new subscribers, thank you for joining me on my journey. And in case you've missed it, here's a couple of videos from my archive. Take a look and enjoy, maybe something you're interested in. Now let's get into it. This is the recap for Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 9, Episode 5, called Big Dis Energy. Hello. So we're going to get right into it. And it starts off with the very first scene being Destiny, Martell, and there's another little guy, I guess, that's helping Destiny move into her new creative space that she's rented. Yes, so Destiny has occupied a space where she can make her body butters and her candles and her products. Now, right now, she doesn't know whether or not she's going to open it up to the public. However, she knows this is her creative space where she can at least make and create her products that she offers now, and of course, those coming in the future. And Martell is there helping her, and he basically says, um, that he was looking, well, actually, he was looking for his candles. And she says, I know this doesn't look quite like a creative space. It looks like a storage unit, and it kind of did, but they actually showed some footage of, I guess, some of the other creative spaces or units, and people I guess made them their own. Now, she said there are hair salons in there, I guess people that do nails in there, and you can make it more inviting for customers. However, if it's something that you just need to have like a space to pack your orders and things of that nature, then this is what you probably need. And I think that's what she was looking for. Um Martell was like, okay. He said, well, I guess I can get my candles, right? Because I don't know what I thought, but I thought that in the last episode, he said that he had purchased candles from her and that I was under the impression that he had already got his candles. But she basically said, oh no, there's another box downstairs. Your candles are probably in there. They're probably not, Martell. Those candles, I don't even know. Has anybody ever bought a candle from Destiny? And if so, when was that? Because maybe she hasn't restocked. Because I don't think she has any. But anyway, I digress. So he goes on to talk about his ordeal, and I don't know. I think he's trying to rewrite history. But Martell is telling us that he wasn't convicted of anything. Now, I know, remember when he got arrested for the harassment communication thing and he went to court? I was so under the impression that when they actually went to court, that he was convicted. I thought we read, or I didn't read it, but I remember looking at other people's vlogs that had read the court filings that he was convicted. Did we not read that right? Anybody? I don't know. Do we need to go back and revisit that? Because he's saying that even though that's what it looked like, he was not convicted. The judge never heard the case. And I guess it makes it seem like it's ongoing. So I don't know. He's got me feeling a way that we may be jumping the gun. Or is he just trying to rewrite history? Because it doesn't make sense. Also, Martell said he was feeling a way that, he didn't get any support, or he felt like he wasn't getting supported from the group, especially from the guys. I guess Marceau and Maurice and the like. right? So, and then he had a real bone to pick with Marceau because evidently Marceau did an interview and was talking about, the ordeal. I think he was asked a question about how he felt about the whole situation, and he gave his 2 cents. And basically said if or if that was true that he did that to his ex-wife, he didn't have any respect for him. And he kind of, spelled it all out in the interview. And Martell didn't take too kindly to his words about it. And I guess, again, he feels like Marceau shouldn't be talking on him or about him. So Destiny, said it's kind of a shame that, Martell doesn't feel like he's being supported from the group. However, she feels like maybe they need to get together. So she's going to try to organize like a field day, an adult field day, so everybody can come and get together so they can rebuild some good vibes, the vibes that they used to have when they all got together. So she said she was going to work on that. So Martell said, well, how are we going to do this, or how are you going to do it? So she said, I'm just going to, I'll put something together. So the next scene is Mel and Kimmy. And actually, Kimmy comes over to Mel's house and she does a workout with Miss Deborah. And Miss Deborah is walking her through the paces and showing her different workout exercises with and it's not a medicine ball, but it was a ball. I remember she was on the floor and they were, you know, um, just doing different things. Um, because Kimmy says that her lung capacity isn't where it's supposed to be or where it should be, or it's not like others. She's still trying to build up her stamina, and it's a lot. But she tries. And also, Miss Deborah must have made them at one point in time some squash spaghetti or what have you. And she evidently, Mel had requested for her to try to make something for them again. So she did. And she went and got them a serving and they were sitting down talking. So now it's just Melody and Kimmy. And so Melody comes right out. She said, well, tell me. She said, no, this is the first time I've seen you since the girls' trip. She said, how did you really like the girls' trip? Can you, tell me what you thought? And Kimmy, said, well, I really felt like it was good. She said, and it was actually better than what I anticipated in my head. She said, but I think it was good. And, whatever issues that the girls ran across, and I'm paraphrasing, actually we all came to resolve, at least what I thought. And Melody says, yeah, well, I thought that too. And I'm thinking she was actually really talking about Destiny at this point. She said, yeah, I thought that too, until we get back. And then Destiny's, I guess she's doing her interview tours and she's going around, she says, still trying to make it seem like Melody's a bad friend. And she said, I thought we were in a good place. I'm thinking, and I'm paraphrasing, Melody thought they were in a good place when they left the trip. She said, but obviously it wasn't that. And so Kimmy said, well, have you talked to Destiny since y'all been back? And she said, oddly not. So she said, I don't understand it. And so she said, so Melody's interpretation of Melody's action, her behavior, she said it's really giving Tisha energy. And Kimmy looked at her and said, well, you and Tisha are okay. She said, yeah, me and Tisha are fine. We don't, throw jabs at each other anymore. I mean, we're cordial. We're cool. We haven't had an issue or whatever. She said, but that's what, I guess her thinking was, that's what Destiny's behavior is reminding her of. So then Melody flips the switch really quickly. And she says, well, tell me about you, Kimmy. She said, I know a lot's been going on over there with, Maurice's little situation. How's it with you? She said, I know that sometimes your significant other can cause a lot of stress and can cause, other things going on. She said, tell me how you've been dealing with that. So Kimmy basically was playing it off. I think she was downplaying it. I think, initially it was a shocker to her. I don't think that um she really wanted to get in deep or to really talk about it because it is an ongoing case and she has to be careful what she says. And of course, it's not really her case to really talk about, even though it is her husband's. So basically, she just kept it simple and she just said, well, I'm doing good. She said, basically, whoever you're with, you're going to have their back. Basically, she says she had his back. And, right now, what's public information is, what they have, a date and time. And that's just public information. So Melody said, well, was it really, did he really get arrested during the day? Was that true? And Kimmy was like, she said, that wasn't her comment to make or have. She said, what's on paper is not always so. And so Melody said, yeah, well, I guess you're trying to say this true. And Kimmy said, no, I didn't say any of that. Don't put words in my mouth. That's not what I said. She said, what the public, right now, what the public has is what they have or what the county put on is the date and time. And that's all she was given. She wasn't given no more information. She said, right now, that's all the public has. So she wasn't going to speak on it. And Melody feels as though that Kimmy's not really trying to be transparent, but it is an ongoing case, and Kimmy can't really speak on it. You know how they did with Karen Huger in Real Housewives of Potomac. If it's an ongoing case, the lawyers will tell you it's not really good to speak on an ongoing case, especially if it's no resolve. So, regardless of what may have transpired, Kimmy can't speak on it, and neither can Maurice. But I think we can imagine what the stipulations were and how that all went down. But right now, we don't have any information, so we can't really speak on that as well. But we can assume and we can speculate, which is what most people have already done. So the next scene is Tisha and Marceau, and they are at the house that they're developing in a neighborhood. And they have like a fairly modern structure already built. And it doesn't seem like it's gotten too much further from the last time I remember them being at this particular structure. But anywho, Marceau is there first and talking with his property supervisor and his chief of staff. Now, y'all, look at this lady. Look at this girl. She is very, very, very cute. But she reminds me of a young version of Tisha. Now, I don't think she's related to Tisha. Tisha and her family got a lot of strong genes. But I don't know. They didn't say that she was any relation to her. But she's a cute girl. And well, I'm not going to tell you what I think. But I just don't know. She doesn't seem like she's old enough to even be out there. And she's looking like a deer in headlights. And it may not even be that, but that's what that's what she's giving. I don't know. Anyway, I digress. Let me move on. So he's talking about, what they need to do and what their goals are for this house. He realizes that this house doesn't look like any other houses in the neighborhood, and they need to make sure that, that they needed to, finish and they make sure that it's good quality and, whatever they're supposed to do. I don't know. Marceau seemed like he was just rambling off. And he don't seem like he really know what he's talking about either, because it didn't sound like he understood what needed to happen. But his property supervisor said they were waiting for someone to come out and inspect to make sure that all the light switches and outlets were in the right place or something like that. And I guess they do that, but I don't know. It seems like they made that. It seemed like that was just made up. I don't know. Not saying that that's not what happens, but it just seemed like they were just using something for dialogue. That's what I got out of it. Anyway, Tisha pulls up, comes in, and she, gives all her pleasantries. And it's just her, Marceau, at this point, and she says she wants to do some marketing regarding the home. She says she'd like to send a letter out to the community, so they can kind of be involved and be in the know and to have more involvement on what's coming new to their their neighborhood because this house doesn't look like theirs. She just wants them to, feel like they're involved. So my whole thing is maybe this letter probably should have went out prior to them trying to build this structure. Like if you want the community to have some say or to give you a comment, before you all even put the structure up, how are they playing a part in it? Because you all have put the structure there. And maybe they don't want that house there. And like Marceau said, why are you sending out this letter for people to give you feedback? He said, because I'm going to be the main one talking about, I told you so. Like, why even give them a reason to give you anything negative? Because he feels that that's what it's going to spark. And I am with Marceau with that. Like, this is like after the fact. Like, Tisha kills me when she tries to act like she's being so businesslike and diplomatic. Girl, y'all are always behind the eight ball. Always. The community can't be involved. You've already pushed them out. You've already said, we're sitting this house here. This is what it's going to look like. You got this real big billboard on what it's going to look like outside of the structure, regardless if they like it or not. So why would you even send out a letter to fuel more feelings about it? Anyway, that's my thought. So then Tisha goes on and says, well, have you talked to your boy, Martell? And Marcel was like, no, I haven't. And Tisha's trying to be encouraging and say, well, I think you might need to reach out to him and, just to check on him, see if he's all right or what have you. And because she says she's concerned about, anything happening between Marceau and Martell. Because obviously Tisha's aware of the interview that Marceau did, and she probably doesn't have a good feeling about it. They know how Martell is. He acts like a little whiny woman. And he's always out to one up somebody else. And she just is not here for it. And, Marceau's not thinking about that. He's like, whatever, I'm not looking to, basically, and I'm paraphrasing, he's not looking to hold Martell's hand or whatever. He's not even to, it is what it is. He just don't have no respect for Martell. And he's not in agreement on what he did. And, and it's not right. And Martell is trying to downplay it like he ain't did nothing. But you did do something, and I get Marceau to a degree. I really do. But Tisha is trying to warn off what may come of Martell's reaction to Marceau's interview. That's what I'm thinking. I may be wrong. So then Tisha asks about, have you talked to your brother, Maurice? And the dumb Marceau was like, what, his doigt? She said, yeah, his DUI, his doigt. He said, how I look talking to him? He's like a lawyer. As if his, and Marceau is on his soapbox. I'm telling you, when it comes to Martell and Maurice, he's on his soapbox. This thing is, both them guys are old enough to know better. And who is he to be telling them? And I think Marceau is the youngest of both of them. I'm mistaken, even though he looks like he could be older than both of them. But Marceau is the older, is the baby actually of the group of Marceau and Martell, of Maurice and Martell. So his thing is how he looked talking to two grown ass men about what decisions they made. And I am here for it, Marceau. I agree. Now he said, I don't understand why you feel as though you need to tell me how to be a good brother. He said, I know. He said, let me, he said, I will respond or react on how I feel I need to be towards Maurice. He said, basically, I got this. He was paraphrasing, but basically, he said, I don't need you to tell me how to be a good brother, Tisha. So Tisha in her confessional basically said, she feels like this doesn't feel like a setback to her. Anybody can bounce back from anything. She said she'd rather get a phone call saying that, Maurice got arrested versus then, Maurice is no longer with us. And I'm thinking, well, I get it, Tisha, but y'all should have said that y'all would have been okay with the phone call saying Maurice has got arrested and for DUI yet, and he's not hurt, and neither is anybody else been hurt. I'm just, there. That's where I'm at with it. So the next scene is Kimmy and Destiny, and they meet at, I guess it's a trophy store where you can buy trophies for like games and things of that nature. I guess little leagues probably go there and get their trophies or whatever. But anywho, Destiny goes there and she's getting trophies for her Big D adult field day because they're going to be playing games, and she's going to give trophies to, of course, the winners. And they're going to be playing dodgeball, tug of war, and then they're going to have like I don't know what she called the game. I don't think it was called any type of game, but it's like a question, conversation, answer period, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, Kimmy comes in and she explains, what her idea is for the adult field day. And Kimmy basically says, we get in trouble when we have conversations. And she says it was basically for people to just, come together and just have a conversation about what might be an issue or not even an issue, but just to work out whatever it is that they have on their heart. And Kimmy asked her, she said, well, is there anybody you feel as though you need to have a conversation with? And she said, because the reason why I'm asking is because I just had a conversation with Mel, and Mel seems to think that you've been doing interviews and kind of showing her, some low key shade. And is so Destiny is like frowning up, like, well, I don't know what interview you're talking about, and I don't know what I could have said. I don't remember. She said, "What would I've said?" She said, "I don't remember saying anything, but I don't remember saying anything but the truth." Is it the truth, or what is she bothered by? Or I don't know, something to that effect. She said basically she didn't say anything that because she would consider it as low-key shade towards Melody. And she said, "Is Melody invited?" She said, "Yeah, everybody's invited." She said, I haven't invited her though because I don't have her number." She said, "Do you have her number? You can call her for me." And Kimmy's looking at her like, "You bitch." She said, "Why are you putting me in this?" And Melody, she's like, "Well, I don't have her number." So she said, "Go ahead and call her." She said, "I'll invite her right now." So of course, Kimmy reaches out to try to call Melody, but Melody doesn't answer the phone. So this Destiny kind of like jokes with her, says, "Blocked." And she says, "I'm not blocked." She said, "I know I ain't did nothing." She said, "I'm not blocked. I didn't do nothing." She said, "But I just don't want to be involved in this." And they laugh, and that was the end of that scene. So the next scene, oh no, I'm sorry. Before they leave out, then Destiny brings up how's everything been going with the Maurice situation, and Kimmy says, "Well, believe it or not, maybe you and Martell were the only ones that actually called to out of concern, giving us support for his arrest." But think about that, Kimmy, and this is, Myrita speaking. Martell called because he'd been arrested. Destiny called because she's been arrested. Misery loves company. So they're like, "Oh, well, no, we got another fellow arrestee on our hands. Let's call and see how he feels." It doesn't surprise me that those two would call. It really doesn't. It doesn't surprise me at all because they all have been experiencing what it is behind bars, or at least to turn yourself in or whatever. So that doesn't surprise me at all. But they go in and talk about, how they're going to have so much fun at the activity, what is it, the field day, and they talk about what they're going to be wearing and all that kind of stuff, and they're going out the door. So the next scene is Destiny is arriving at the field where they're going to have their activities, and she's setting up, before everyone arrives. And the first one that pulls up is Letitia. She pulls up first, and she basically, explains to Tisha about the activities and what's going to go on for the day. And Tisha is like, I thought we were all in a good place. She said, what are you talking about? She said, didn't we all weren't we all in a good place when we left the trip? And so Destiny explains to her that, obviously not. She said Melody's, talked about that. I've said some things about her in an interview. She said, I don't know. She said, I can't keep up. I can't keep up. I don't know what it is. She said, but we're all gonna just, talk about it and just make sure that we want to have good vibes again. We want to get this group together. We want to have, good rapport. And, then she talked about how Martell felt some way about, Maurice having an interview about him and talking things or whatever. And Tisha said, shoot, he was the one that was talking about us in the interview. And then he's like, oh, Lord. She said, I hate this. She said, this stuff is getting on my nerves. That's what Letitia said. So then while they're talking, Maurice pulls up. He pulls up and says, oh, you might as well give me that trophy right now. I know I won or whatever. And so they said, oh, so you got Big D energy? And he's like, well, I don't know about that. So he kind of laughed that off. Then Marceau pulls up. What up, though? And this, I guess that's a D thing, a Detroit thing. And then after he pulls up, Nell and Chris pull up. Lance comes, Nell's son. And her thing is, oh no, I didn't know you were going to be here. She said, are you the new Big D energy or whatever? And Marcel kind of looks over to Nell like, oh wow, right? And he basically says he gonna be your new son-in-law. She was like, oh no. She said, not dangerous meets crazy. And both Lance and Destiny are looking at her like, what? Really? So Destiny said, well, who's dangerous and who's crazy? So Nell goes, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, like it didn't matter. So that was kind of like low-key shade. I don't think Nell wants Destiny with her son. And I think, furthermore, Nell knows her son. Nell knows the situation that her son is going through now with I don't know if it's his wife or just his baby mama, but there's some situations there. And I think he has a new baby, and that's as of recent. This is right now. This was filmed way back months ago. But as of recent, he has a new baby, and it ain't with Destiny. So, and I'm thinking it's with either his wife or his baby mama that he's been dealing with. So I think Nell was just basically saying like, without outing her son, like Destiny didn't need to leave that alone. But she says they're grown and I ain't got nothing to do with it. Mamas know. So that's where I'm at with it. I don't think it's just she doesn't care for Destiny. She just understands. She knows who her son is. And rightly so. So Destiny explains to the group that, they have a snow cone truck and some other type of truck out there. And she gives them tickets for it. And they're all standing around. And Martell has the nerve to say, I'm just observing. And she said, 50% of us have been to jail. It's like, wait a minute, what? So then they move on, and then they just they walk off of the thing like, oh man, why'd you have to even bring that up? So they all start playing musical chairs, and they're going around and around. Marcel is a sore loser, and he just does not play fair. But anyway, I think Maurice wins that one, and then they play dodgeball, and I want to say Kimmy won that game. And then they played tug of war, and the girls won, I guess, against the guys or whatever, something to that effect. But anyway, it seemed like it was a fun day. They said it was hot as I don't know what out there though. So then they gather under the pavilion to play their question and answer game. And the first question that Destiny asked, and I think she asked Martell, is there anyone here that's actually hurt you? And he kind of tries to sugarcoat it and say, he wishes that he could have some, when things happen in his life, he wish he could have support of the group, and or just people to reach out just to check in on you to see how you're doing or whatever. And then Destiny interjects and she says, "Well, you said something about you were upset about an interview." And you see right away Tisha's eyes goes up in the air like, "Oh, here we go." And then Martell then refers to Marcel, and basically he goes in on Marcel about how he was talking about him and his situation in this interview. And his thing was he didn't understand why he felt like he needed to say anything. And Marcel basically said, "Well, I was asked a question about how I felt about the revenge P." And Martell says, "Well, where did revenge P come from?" He said, "That's not what I was arrested for." He said, "I was arrested for what is it? What was he arrested for? DV communication." And well, but so Marcel said, "Well, that was the question that I was asked, and they asked me the question, and I answered it, and that's what I said, and I just, basically said what I guess Marcel basically just paraphrasing that he gave his 2 cents, and he didn't take um too kindly of what allegedly happened between him and Mel with the revenge P or the harassment communication, whatever the situation may be." Marcel said it was dumb, and why would he do that to his ex-wife, basically. And of course, Martell is trying to say that that didn't happen, had nothing to do with any revenge P, it wasn't any picture, it wasn't anything, it didn't have anything to do with that. So Destiny pipes up and says, "Well, since you now know, based on what Martell has said, that that didn't happen, how do you feel about the situation now?" And Marcel says, "Well, I don't believe Martell." He said, "I don't believe Martell." And then that, sparks into another conversation. Martell and Marceau are going back and forth, talking about how Marceau calls him a liar. He said, "What I lie about? Tell me something I lied about." And then he said, "Well, you told people that I had 20 girlfriends." He said, "Yeah, he said, "I can prove that you've been with 20 women since you've been married." And he's going in. And so Tisha knew this was coming. She just knew this was coming. And that's what she was trying to ward off. That's why she was encouraging Marceau to reach out to Martell, smooth things over just to pacify him, because she knows how he gets down. And all he does is, "Oh, you going to come at me? Well, I'm going to come back at you." If it's a lie or if it's true, it doesn't matter, because once it's out there, and he's planted the seed for anybody who's willing to listen. And so Destiny's like, "So look, I guess she's talking to Maurice." She says, "Y'all just gonna let them just continue to do this? Nobody, I'm really the referee here." She said, "Ain't nobody else gonna say nothing." And Maurice is like, "Let them argue it out." His thing was, "Let them argue it out. Go ahead and do what they gotta do." So that conversation, I guess, goes back and forth, back and forth. And so Martell says, "I got proof," or whatever. So they were like, "Prove it, prove it." So he goes to his truck and goes and gets his phone like he's going to show something. So Tisha and them was like, "Show it. Show what you got. Show it." They're like telling him, like, show it. And he's telling Tisha, "You really don't want to see this." Tisha's like, "Show it. Show it." And so it kind of goes off there and it says to be continued. But you see in the clips from next episode that he goes in and talks about, then he brings up stuff about Tisha, talking about she been with my boy and all this kind of stuff. It's getting, Martell is really getting in the gutter. And I really feel like he is just grasping at straws, honestly. I really feel like he's grasping at straws at anything just to get the light off of him. And it's too late. He's embarrassed. He done messed up his family. All this is coming to the surface. He's with somebody he really don't like. And I noticed in this episode, he says, and I can't remember exactly where he says it, but he don't have nobody. He's not claiming her in this episode either, talking about his paramour, whatever they call it. And he's upset. He has really destroyed his family home. his family life. He's not doesn't have really think anything strong going on but the show. His businesses have all subsided. Like his wine venture, done. I thought he was getting into the suits creation designer type thing. We haven't never heard any more about that. I guess he couldn't get the capital together to invest. What else did he have going on? Because I can't understand like what else he had going. But I feel like his other hustle, he was trying to get custody of his kids so he could get child support from Melody, so he could get a check from her. But that doesn't seem to have worked out. So I don't know what's going on with Martell. So right now, all he really has is the show. So yeah, we'll just have to tune in next week to see what else he calls himself trying to air out of the Scotts. It's really, really getting crazy. Anyway, tell me what y'all think. Leave your comments down below. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. I'm trying to build my channel. I'm trying to get to 500 by the end of the year. I'm not that far away. Actually, I think I need like 80 more people at that. Something like that to get to 500. Help me out. Everyone be blessed. Peace.